Hey everyone, so I know that I posted the Gaia game just recently, and a lot of you said you wanted commentary on the entire game. So I'm gonna go and commentate this one. This one I did not play on stream. I played this after hours, so nobody really got to see it anyways. And so right now, like there are a few civs that are dominating the top of the ladder, and I think Thor is one of them. And I've been advocating some Thor nerfs, but it's easy for me to say one thing if I'm not actually playing the Civ itself. So I decided to play Thor, see if anyone can counter the OP strategy that I'm using, and then I can actually, rationalize a nerf or a balance change. But it's hard for me to actually say, nerf this civilization without actually playing it and showcasing what its strengths are. So I think this strategy is absolutely broken. Well, I won't say absolutely broken, but I think it's extremely strong. Um, and I don't see that much counterplay to it. So let's get started. Now, this build that I'm doing right now, I kind of just did it on a whim. I'm sure you guys can figure out something better than mine. So don't care too much about the build. If you guys are interested in the build, then by all means use it. But essentially, like this is more about the strategy than the build itself. But just in case you are interested, I started off with all of the dwarves to gold, and I'm going to build an extra dwarf and put him on gold as well. The next villager that comes out goes to chicken, kills 5 of them, and by killing 5 chickens, you're going to get 5 favor. So when you have 5 favor, then you're going to see that you're going to be able to build. I believe it's called Thor's hammer, which you're going to see in a short sec. Right, so you're going to see that I'm going to research Thor's hammer. Click it. Yeah, there we go. Hammer of Thunder. Okay, that's what it's called. It's 100 gold and 5 favor. One of my friends, Pegasus, said it's actually better if I don't go with Thor's hammer first because it's 40 seconds of training time. Might be better to just go with Copper Mail. But in any case, don't care. I don't really care too much about the build. It's more about the strategy. I just think it's a very, very strong strategy, right? So I put 3 on wood, and then I just like put the rest of all the dwarves and food to food, right? So the dwarves and gatherers to food. If you guys notice, the gather rate is almost the same. So a dwarf's gather rate and a vill's gather rate on food, I think it's a very, very, very small difference. So you can essentially not worry too much about it. Just put fills and dwarves on food and wood. It doesn't really matter. I think if you guys want to climb Elo right now, if you guys want to get a lot of points, you guys should definitely start using this strategy. It's very, very strong. The reason why it's strong is because not only are you going to get a villager advantage over your opponent, you're also going to get a technological advantage too. Because you're going to get plus 2 or 3 vills, which I'm not done yet, but you can already see I have a vill lead on my opponent. And not only that, you're going to have a technology lead on your military. So your military is going to be a lot stronger than your opponent's, right? If you look at my berserk, it already has copper shields and copper armor. And not only is that the case, you're going to have a very limited window to actually do any damage. You can't really do any damage to his gold mine because, as you can see, I saved my dwarven mine, right? I still have my dwarven mine. If my opponent comes in and tries to harass my gold mine, I'll just use dwarven mine, put it right next to the TC, and I'm safe. You can't really harass the food because, worst case scenario, I'm just going to put them on these goats right here, and I should be fine, right? And the only thing you can really harass is the wood. This is the only issue for this build is harass the wood. You might be able to get some damage off. I still think it's very, very tough, but a lot of people have been able to make it work. So that right now, luckily I have a back wood line, right? So it's hard to do any damage, but if I had a front wood line, then you can actually kind of harass there. So very, very strong build. Now, I know that I have an eco lead. I know that I have a military lead. Military lead in the sense that I have better technology. You guys can see here 21 vills to 18. I have 10 units to 5, but this doesn't really matter that much. The thing that matters is he doesn't want to be aggressive against me because I have all of my armory upgrades already done. So you can't be aggressive versus Civ. You have a very limited window. So I know that most of the time my opponent's going to take a TC or they're going to boom. I already know it's going to happen, but well, most of the time, not every single time, but it's always good to have a worst case scenario just ready. You see, I built this wall here. This wall is basically so he doesn't run in, right? Now he has to either come from here, and if he comes from here, he's going to take TC fire, right? So That's why I built this wall. He can't just run through here and be safe. Or the alternative is he has to come around and he has to go here, but I'm going to build houses to block this, you see? So now he has nowhere to do damage on this gold mine. So I'm safe, completely safe on my gold mine there. Now I always start with a great hall and a longhouse. Doesn't matter. I know. I mean, I assume that my opponent's going to be doing for a second TC, but I'm not entirely sure. So I sent this berserk to get some scouting information to see what he's doing. But at the same time, I'm getting ready to make units just in case I'm wrong, because you don't know the one downside. Another downside of this build is the fact that you don't get that much scouting information, right? You don't know what your opponent's doing. So here I saw the TCs going down. So now as soon as I see the TC going down, I have two options. I either go all in on this and just attack as fast as I can with as many units as I can and take it down, or I take my own TC, right? Those are my two options. Now I ask myself though, should I attack this? Now, no, my opponent is a Hades player. What does that mean? That means he's going to have access to Sentinels, right? So it's much, much harder for me to actually push into this. So it's knowing that I can't push into him because he has a better defensive, his Civ has a better defensive prowess than mine's, or more better defensively than I am offensively. I don't attack into this. You could do a fast heroic and attack into it with flaming weapons, but I find that the safer option is usually just to take your own second TC, right? That way you don't lose your villager advantage. The second thing is the fact that I made units meant that I can actually take my hunt now, right? So if you guys know, I scouted this. This is 7 giraffes or 8 giraffes here or something like that. It's insane. So I definitely want to take my giraffes and I want to just take the TCs, gobble them up so that he doesn't get a lead on me in terms of villagers. So I take this TC and I'm going to speed up the game a little bit. Note that I'm mostly making dwarves. Because dwarves are so like, you can pretty much put them on anything and they don't cost food. Food is very, very valuable in the early game, right? You see how I have to put my villagers at risk to get food? I don't really have to put my gold miners at risk at this stage because I have dwarven mines. So I just keep on making dwarves. I do mix in some vills where I can, but essentially I want to mix in dwarves and vills at the same time. Now I have my second TC, right? So I know that he's not going to catch up. Well, he's not going to get further ahead than me in terms of villagers. But at the same time, I want to get further ahead than him. Now, he can't take 3 TCs. It's going to be suicide for him because I had an extra economic lead at the beginning, which allowed me to take a TC and get a military at the exact same time. You can see I have 35 military to 17, and my military is stronger. I have all the upgrades. So that means I can take 3 TCs unimpeded. And the second thing is, I want to take this TC because this TC right here allows me to get this gold mine, which is safe. And at the same time, it kind of gives my hunter some protection as well here. So this is a very strong TC. So I take the TC because I know that I have a military advantage. The only thing that I think my opponent can do at this point is go to the heroic age, use curse on my army, or sorry, he can also go underworld and he can try to hit my gold mines, stuff like that, right? So I'm not too worried about it, to be honest with you. So I just take a third TC and I try to make him come to me. Now, the thing I need to keep an eye on here is if he's taking a third TC. Because if he takes a third TC here, he doesn't have the protection of the sentinels. So I can actually do a lot of damage there. So I should keep an eye on here. In hindsight, what I should have done and what you guys should do is maybe just put down one house here, put down one long house here, just something so you get vision, and that way you know exactly when he takes his TC. That gives you a really strong timing, right? So looks like he's going for heroic, and I'm just going to pump out a lot of military production buildings right now, so that way I can respond in case he does attack. What I should be also doing here, which I didn't do, is put some nice walls up. You can put a nice wall here, a wall here, and a wall here. That would cover almost the entire map if I was to do that. So, you know, if you put a wall here, you put a wall here, and you put a wall here, right? That means the entire map right here, if you look on the mini map, this whole side is going to be covered. That means my opponent can only attack from here. So it makes my life a lot easier if I had done that, but I did not do that in this case. So I'm sending my RC around. It's good to keep your army moving just to get some scouting information. So now by me going in here, I saw what type of units he's making, which is Hoplite Toxite, right? So the moment you see Hoplite Toxite, then you know that, okay, you can probably just go throwing axemen and raiding cavalry. Or you can just, you can't go berserks, I think, first this. You have to go RC and throwing axemen. I do mix in some berserks just because they're have a fast training time, so I can actually just get all my production buildings up really fast. And then I'm doing some nice raids here. So honestly, like if you think about it, the goal of this game at this point is I know I have a massive eco lead, 70 to 60, right? Essentially, if you look up here, you can see 73 to 60. I have a military lead too. So there's only two things that are going through my mind at this point is A, don't die, and B, try to control the map. So those are the only two things I care about. Here, I could have probably just taken this TC as well. That was bad by me. But if by taking this TC, he can just, he has to siege it down, which is, I guess it just kind of distracts him a little bit. So it would be nice to have this because it's not, I can easily afford it at this point. I have so much eco. So here I'm starting to push now because I think that I'm going to use, when you know that you've been on like 10, 15 villager advantage for like a few minutes, that's when you start pushing your advantage. You're going to know that you have more economy than him. You know that I have more military like technologies than him as well, right? So you kind of want to push at that point when you know that you've been on more villagers than him for a longer period of time. So here I start pushing. Okay, so I think I use flaming weapons here. I'm not sure if this was the best use of it. I probably should have waited a little while. What you guys should do as well, it's really, really broken at the moment, is you should go for burning pitch with throwing axemen. It's going to do so much more damage to buildings. And if I had that and I did flaming weapons right here, I can take out the TC very easily. So I should have waited a little bit longer on my flaming weapons here, but overall I was still very, very, very far ahead. So I didn't really care that much. At this point, I'm just basically flooding units into his base, trying to kill him. And now I'm going to start putting up some hill forts. So the one thing that you guys, and I should have noticed as well, is he has underworld passage, right? So he has the ability to transport his units anywhere on the map. So this is a really strong god power in controlling the gold. You can see that my gold miners are kind of exposed here. They're exposed here. And I think they're, well, anyways, these three spots are exposed. You know that he has underworld, so he can kill like 10, 15 villagers right here if he gets them. So what I should have done was, firstly, I should have probably put some hill forts here. One hill fort here or one hill fort here. By putting a hill fort there, I would have protected these gold mines. And if he does underworld, I can just garrison him. It gives me a little bit of time. But I didn't do that. Instead, I did the lazy thing, which is I just spammed hill forts right here in the front, which is not bad, I guess. But there's a lot of better use cases for this. Okay, so right now, he actually has more army than me, but I have way more villagers than him. And I have a lot of facilities, so I'm going to be pumping out units really fast. You see I have one hill fort down. The next one's coming up right now very, very soon. It's only been 13. Okay. So yeah, so I'm just going to try to push into here. If I push in here, I can just kill him, right? He's going to have to resign. And then from the back door, I'm coming with some raiding cavalry. So I'm attacking on two fronts right now. You guys also have to take into consideration, okay, my opponent's army is consisting of infantry and a slow-moving myth unit. 4.6 speed, 4 speed, 4.2 speed. They're slow units, right? So anytime your opponent has slower units than you and you have fast units, you want to take advantage of your mobility and start distracting him. So I busted through his wall here, and I'm going to kill these villagers, and control that gold, right? And at the same time, he can't push me because I have two hill forts here. So for him, the logical standpoint is just to take an underworld, come over here and try to do some damage here. But since I have my production so close to his town center, the moment he underworlds, I'm just going to push in and kill him, right? So he's at a little bit of a tricky situation at this point. He can't push me. He can't defend raids because he has slower army. The only thing he can do is do a really, really good underworld at this point. But if he does a really good underworld, I'm just going to destroy his TC. So like it's very, very tough for him at this point. You can see my raids are doing a ton of damage. even if I lose all of these raiding cavalry, they have done their job at this point, right? So even I put a third hill fort down in one area. So this is a very, very strong position for me. And there he goes with his underworld. And he underworld, in my opinion, it was a very bad spot. Like he should have done it right on top of a gold mine. But I knew it was coming anyway, so I evacuated. And like I told you, the moment he underworlds, you push in and you kill him, right? So you want to, now I have Fimble Winter, so he just resigns as well. But what I was about to say was, if you know that he has access to a god power that can actually change the course of the game, you want to have a backup option as well, or a counter to that. My counter is the moment he underworlds, I push in through this frontal base, right? So he might be able to get a really good raid off on me, but I'm going to kill his town center. So we're going to even out in that regard. So yeah, so that was the commentated game that you guys wanted to see. I'm going to mix it up. So some games are going to be commentated like this, completely comment from beginning to end. And the other ones, I'm just going to give a little bit of an intro and let you guys watch. It's also good to watch in silence and draw your own conclusions as well. Like by me telling you my thought process, it's nice to know somebody else's thought process so you can kind of apply it to your game. But at the same time, you want to watch a game in silence, just you and the game, and then you want to start asking yourself, what would I do in this position, in this situation, right? So you want a little bit of both. So I'm also going to be doing it just completely empty games where you can watch and just make your own decisions as a result of what you see on the map. But yeah, let me know if you guys enjoyed this. If you guys really want to get some points and move up on the ladder, I would suggest using the Thor build right now. It's very strong in my opinion. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching. And if you guys haven't already, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, I know I don't ask as much as I should, but a lot of friends of mine are telling me that it's something that's important for my channel going forward. So if you guys don't mind doing that for me, that would be much appreciated. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.